Hi, welcome back to Unit 2 Language. This is Lesson 4, Words Often Confused. You'll find this information in your textbook on pages HB 51 through HB 55. When you're tired, do you lay down or lie down? After dinner, do you eat dessert with one S or two? Let's take a look at everyday words that can trip you up so you understand the differences between certain words that people tend to confuse. By the way, no one is immune to this. No matter how well read you are, there are probably at least a couple of words you mix up. I keep a list of my top 5. Yep, not just 1 or 2, but 5. I refer to it whenever I need to. When I conquer one pair, I'll add another in. There are a lot of these, so as I go through them, make notes about the ones that trip you up. Accept and accept sound alike but look different. Accept with an A means to receive willingly, like to accept an award or to accept customers. Accept with an EX is a preposition that means excluding, such as all languages except English or all customers except cats. Adapt and adopt are very similar. Adapt means to adjust, like use a cord to adapt your phone to recharge it. Adopt means to take as one's own, like to adopt a pet from a shelter. Advice and advise look and sound similar. It's no wonder people confuse them. Advice with a C is a noun and means recommendation, a lawyer's advice. Advise with an S is a verb and means to give advice. We advise you to learn the difference between advice and advise. Or better yet, I advise you to take my grammar advice. Affect and effect are a pair that were on my list for quite a while. Even now, I have to think about it sometimes. Affect with an A is usually a verb that means to produce a change in, such as stress can affect health. Effect with an E is a noun that means result, like the effects of smoking are well known. As a verb, it means to cause. A mediator works to effect a compromise. See why it's confusing? Here's a visual to help you remember the difference. On the left, the aardvark is about to be affected by the arrow. On the right, you can see the result, which is the effect.
All right and all right mean the same thing, but all right as 2 words is the formal spelling, so use it for business and academic contexts, because it's not all right to use all right.
Allusion and illusion sound alike but have very different meanings. Allusion with an A is an indirect reference, as in to allude to something else, such as an allusion to a Trojan horse. In case your Greek history is a little rusty, Helen, whose beauty launched 1,000 ships, was married to King Menelaus of Sparta when she was either kidnapped or ran away with Paris, who was the Prince of Troy. Menelaus gathered all his Greek homies and laid siege to Troy to get his wife back. Troy was well fortified, and the war dragged on for 10 years. Kind of like Afghanistan. This is the same war that led to the death of Achilles and made Odysseus a hero. The Greeks were not making much of a dent until Odysseus came up with a super sneaky plan. They built a giant hollow wooden horse which they left at the gates of Troy and announced that they were giving up and going home. And the horse was supposed to be a parting gift to the Trojans. The Trojans, of course, were suspicious, who wouldn't be, but eventually dragged the horse into the city. With the apparent departure of the Greeks, the Trojan celebration of the end of the siege began with the usual free-flowing booze and other entertainments. During the night, while the Trojans slept off the party, a small contingent of Greek commandos, led by Odysseus, crept out of the horse and sacked the city, killing the Trojan soldiers in their sleep. The saying, "Beware of Greeks bearing gifts," is an allusion to this cunning plan by Odysseus. In this cartoon, you can see that instead of Greek commandos, this Trojan horse is filled with bombs labeled debt. Menelaus, by the way, did get Helen back. He had planned to kill her for being unfaithful because, while it was super okay for him to sleep around, he couldn't allow his wife to dishonor him. But she was so beautiful, he couldn't do it and returned to Sparta with her. So that's illusion with an A. Illusion with an I means a false appearance, like an optical illusion. In this picture, you either see an elderly couple in profile or a musician with a guitar playing to a guy in a sombrero while a woman listens from a doorway. That's an illusion with an I. A lot of people spell this as one word, A-L-O-T, but a lot of people would be wrong. A lot is always two words, unless you're talking about this a lot. It's spelled A-L-O-T, all one word. This is a lot better. I care about this a lot. Remember, a lot as two words means a large quantity of something. A lot as one word is a drawing by the satirist, The Oatmeal. Among and between. The rule here is use among for 3 or more items among the 50 states. There is an imposter among us. Use between for 2 items. Between you and me. Shrek is between the cyan and yellow crewmates. Amount and number drive me crazy when people use it wrong, and many people do. Amount is for non-count nouns. Those are things you can measure but can't count, like water, snow, or soap. Number is for count nouns, or things that you can count, like a number of water bottles, snowmen, or bars of soap. As if, and like. To begin a subordinate clause, use as or as if. Do as I say, not as I do. It seemed as if he had not prepared at all for the briefing. Or as Cher would say, as if. Like introduces a noun or noun phrase. It feels like silk. Or smells like team spirit. Bad and badly is another pair I struggle with. Bad is an adjective following a linking verb. I feel bad. It's the opposite of I feel good. Use badly as an adverb following an action verb. I play piano badly. If you feel badly, that means you're no good at feeling. This designer should feel bad that they decorated this cake so badly. Capital and capital sound the same, but are spelled differently. Capital with an A is a city where the government of a state, province, or country is located. Austin is the capital of Texas. Capital is also an uppercase letter. Capital with an O is the government building, like the Capitol Dome. This one is actually pretty easy because capital with an O only has one meaning, and that's the government building. Everything else is capital with an A. Cite, cite, and cite sound the same but have different meanings and spellings. Cite with a C means to give information from a source by quoting, paraphrasing, or summarizing, as in to cite your sources. Cite, S-I-G-H-T, is either the act of seeing or something that is seen, like an appalling sight. A site, S-I-T-E, is a place, the site of a famous battle, or a website. Compose and comprise sound similar and have related and complete opposite meanings. The parts compose the whole. 50 states compose the Union. The whole, however, comprises the parts. The Union comprises 50 states. A lot of people think could have is spelled could of. But again, lots of people are incorrect. The abbreviation is could've, which is where the confusion comes in. Could've and could've sound the same, but could've, not a thing. That's a no, just no. Council and council sound the same, have different meanings and spellings. Council refers to a body of people, like the city council. Counsel with an S means advice or to advise. Her wise counsel, or she counseled victims of domestic abuse. Criteria and criterion are related words. Criteria is the plural of criterion and takes a plural verb. Certain criteria have been established. Criterion is the singular form of criteria and takes a singular verb. There can only be one criterion. Data or data, either way, both are the plural of datum or datum and should technically take a plural verb. The data arrive from many sources, but some writers treat it as singular. The data is persuasive, common, but wrong. As a noun, a desert is an arid region, like the Mojave Desert. As a verb, it means to abandon, like he deserted his post. Dessert is a sweet served at the end of a meal. Dessert is so sweet, it has 2 S's. Disinterested means fair or unbiased, like a disinterested jury or a disinterested Judge Judy. Uninterested means bored or indifferent. Uninterested in election results, or your face right now. Emigrate with an E means to leave one's country of origin. Immigrate from the UK. When you emigrate, you exit a country. Emigrate with an E is usually used with the preposition from. Immigrate with an I means to move to another country, as in to immigrate to Canada. When you immigrate, you enter into another country. Immigrate with an I is usually used with the preposition to. ETC is an abbreviation of the Latin phrase etc., which means and other things. ETC is fine in notes and bibliographies, but avoid using it in your writing in general. Substitute and so on, if necessary. Everyday as one word is an adjective meaning ordinary, our everyday routine. Everyday as 2 words means on a daily basis, as in to eat lunch every day. An easy test, in case you struggle with this one, is to insert the word single between every and day. If it works for your context, make every day 2 words. Fewer and less are like amount and number. A lot of people don't know the difference. Like Walmart and every store with the sign that says 10 items or less. Fewer is for count nouns, things you can count individually, like items in a basket. Less is for non-count nouns like water and air. You can have bottles of water, but not waters. Good is an adjective. She looks good in that color. A good book. Superman does good. Well can be an adjective indicating physical health after a linking verb. She looks well despite her recent surgery. Or an adverb following an action verb. He speaks Spanish well. Hopefully is a weasel word. Its job is to create the impression the writer has said something specific and meaningful, when in fact they've been vague at best. In academic writing, avoid using hopefully to mean it is hoped that. Use it only to mean with hope, such as to make a wish, hopefully. Or better yet, just choose a better word. And yes, that is a word weasel made of weasel words. Imply and infer are like compose and comprise. They're related opposites. Imply means to suggest. Writers imply. Infer means to conclude. The reader infers what the writer implies. This one was number one on my list for years, but within the last year or so, I have mastered it. Its is a possessive pronoun. The movie is rated R because of its language. Its, with the apostrophe, is a contraction of it is or it has. It's an action film. Lay and lie are currently on my list. Lay, meaning to put or to place, always takes a direct object. She lays the blanket down. Lie, meaning to recline or to be positioned, never takes a direction. She lies on the blanket. The verb lead means to guide. I will lead the way. The noun lead is a type of metal, like a lead pipe. Or as Stan Laurel said, you can lead a horse to water, but a pencil must be lead. Lead, L-E-D, is the past tense and past participle of lead. The duck led her ducklings to the pond. Use literally only when you want to stress that you don't mean figuratively. While sitting in the grass, he realized that he literally had ants in his pants. When something literally blows your mind, you're literally dead. Loose with two O's means not fastened securely or not fitting tightly, like a loose scarf. Lose with one O means to misplace or to not win, lose an earring or lose the race. Or in this case, when your pants are too loose, you will lose them. Instead of man or mankind, use people, humans, humanity, or humankind. Many and much are like less and few. Use many for count nouns, many cars, many people, many leaves. Use much for non-count nouns, like much water, much money, and much time. May have, might have, and must have are like could have. Incorrect. It should be may have, might have, and must have. Again, the confusion comes from the contracted version. Media is the plural of medium and takes a plural verb. Twitter is a social medium. Twitter, Facebook, and Insta are social media. Percent is an abbreviation of a Latin term, percentum, or by the hundred. It means a portion of the whole. In the U.S., we write percent as one word. Use it after a number, like 80%. Use percentage after an adjective or article, an impressive percentage, or the percentage was impressive. Principal with an A means a chief official or a sum of money. In the principal's office, raising the principal for a down payment. As an adjective, it means most important, the principal cause of death. Principle with an LE means a rule by which one lives, or a basic truth or doctrine. Lying is against her principles. The principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Meaning to grow or to cause to move upward, raise always takes a direct object. He raised his hand. Meaning to get up, rise never takes a direct object. The sun rises. Raise, R-A-Z-E, means to destroy or tear down. It also requires a direct object. The reason is because is redundant. Reason and because mean the same thing, so use one or the other, but not both. The reason for the price increase was a poor growing season, or prices increased because of a poor growing season. Reason why is also redundant. Use the reason or the reason that. Psychologists debate the reasons that some people develop depression and others do not. Respectfully means in a way that shows respect. Speak respectfully. Respectively means in the order given. George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush were the 41st president and the 43rd president, respectively. Sensual suggests sexuality, like a sensual caress. Sensuous involves pleasing the senses through art, music, and nature. The violin's sensuous solo. In academic and business writing, it's probably best just to avoid both words altogether. Set with an E means to put or to place and takes a direct object, like set the table. Sit with an I means to take a seat and does not take a direct object. She sits on the bench. Stationary with an A means staying put, like a stationary object. Stationary with an E means writing paper, the college's official stationery. Than is a conjunction used for comparing. She's taller than her sister. Then is an adverb used to indicate a sequence. Finish your work, then reward yourself. There was an ad campaign several years ago with the slogan, "I'd rather have hugs than drugs." Except that their first run of signs said, "I'd rather have hugs than drugs." One letter's difference completely changed the meaning. Use that to add information essential for identifying something. The wild horses that live on this island are endangered. Use which to give additional but non-essential information. Abaco barb horses, which live on an island in the Bahamas, are endangered. There signifies possession, their canoe. To help you remember, think of it this way. There tells where, put it there. Think of the R as an arrow. There is a contraction of they are. They're busy. Think of the A as an apostrophe. To is either a preposition that tells direction, as in give it to me, or part of an infinitive. To err is human. To means also or excessively. It has too many O's. Two is a number. T for two. Because unique suggests that something is the only one of its kind, avoid using comparatives or superlatives, more, most, less, or least, intensifiers, such as very, or qualifiers, such as somewhat. Weather refers to atmospheric conditions, dreary weather. Whether refers to a choice between options, whether to stay or go. Whose is a contraction of who is or who has. Who's the best candidate for the job? Who's already eaten? Whose refers to ownership. Whose keys are these? Would of, not a thing. It's would have. Your signifies possession, your diploma. Your is a contraction of you are. You're welcome, or your dinner versus your dinner. One leaves you nourished, the other leaves you dead. This is another case of correct grammar saving lives. Whew, that's the end of commonly confused words, and that's a lot of confusion. Your commonly confused words may not be on this list. For example, I have trouble spelling angel and angle. That's another good reason to keep a list of your own troublesome words. Don't forget to check Canvas for a quiz, and I'll see you next time for Lesson 5, Prepositions. And thanks to Slides Carnival and Unsplash for their help with my slides template. See you next time.